All right, hey, welcome everybody to another episode of the Coach's Box. What did we say we were going to name it this week?
What?
Do we have a name, Coach Miller?
Don't ask me.
We had the Was There Wings episode?
Yes. Was There Wings?
I don't know. Was there? We don't have. Hey, we're missing somebody right now, so I guess there wasn't any wings.
That's Jarvis got better looking. He's not here to defend himself.
No, so. Not at all. No, he might be here. But no, we do have Jim Powers on the show this evening. Jim, thanks for coming out.
No problem. You know, it's been a while since I've been able to come down and hang out with you guys. And last week, got a little bit of a late notice and wasn't able to pull off last week. But with late practice tonight, worked out perfectly. So great to be back down with you guys.
How'd that work out?
It was good, actually. It was good. We had a good practice.
Yeah, it's good. Late practices are really good.
Late practices suck.
No one likes the whiners, Zach.
I know.
How many late practices you had this week?
All year
this week?
long.
This week?
Oh, this week?
What? Say it again? Say my good ear, Zach. Say my good ear. Hey, I'll take this off. Here. How many?
It's only because I made the schedule this week.
No, you did. I take everyone's suggestions
and throw them out the window.
I do what I want.
I do what I want.
That's right.
Oh, man. But I tell you what, let's get right into it when we talk about our first segment, especially while we have Jim here. So maybe controversial, maybe not. We'll get everybody's opinion on this. State rankings. Now, all right, we already got some chuckles here. So I don't care if you want to bring up basketball, because I'm pretty sure a couple guys might want to bring up basketball. Kevin, you might throw in soccer here, but we could talk football, whatever.
We won't have to do that.
No soccer? All right.
I will.
So
and everyone left.
So here we go. All right. You see a lot of teams with a 500 or barely 500 record making the state rankings.
Uh-huh.
People will say that they play a tough schedule or a bunch of ranked teams. Here's the question. Are we ranking best teams with better records or good teams and their strength of schedule? Because at some point, you just can't lose all those games to better teams. You have to win some of them. And go. What do you think?
Well,
because I've got my opinion, but I'll wait.
I mean, I think that strength of schedule is very important, but I also do believe that, when you look at the overall picture, I don't know that the state rankings are a legitimate state ranking, because I don't know who votes on those. Is there a committee? Is it by the coaches?
Wait a second. Hold on. Time out. Hold on. You paid your dues, right? Okay. You're a head coach and been a head coach for how long?
Oh, this is 12.
And you don't know who is involved
Nope.
with any state rankings whatsoever?
Nope.
Weird.
So I think that has a lot to do with who is ranked where and vice versa. The other thing that that I think is, you talk about teams that maybe have close to a 500 record or in the top whatever. I mean, there may be like a team. We'll just go locally. A team like Crystal City that has to play everybody 2 classes or 3 classes above. Maybe a quality basketball team, but they're competing against class 3, 4, 5 schools. Right. So they may have a schedule that they cannot get around because it's conference opponents that are that big. So that might change some things as far as that, but I don't think that there's a suggestion, you should say, a suggestion box of something to follow. Is it head-to-head? Is it, the winning percentage of the teams you've won against compared to the teams you've lost against, what their percentage is? I mean, is all of that stuff taken into consideration? And then do you take out the consideration part of how they've done against other teams that may be classified as the top in the state?
Right.
So how do you handle that? And who votes on it and how they vote on it? I mean, you might know this answer.
Yeah, I'm actually one of the
Jim might know these.
I'm actually one of the people who gathers the data for the Missouri Basketball Coaches Association. So I'm one of several people who scour the internet or online newspapers sometimes to get scores to make sure we kind of have, because realistically, there's a lot of coaches who don't update their crap. Like, they just don't put stuff out there because they want to be, talk about me being secretive and not sharing film. Like, these a-holes won't even put their stuff on there.
You're supposed to on Misha.
About their kids.
You're supposed to on Misha.
That's a bigger conversation that we've had like many moons ago on the show about posting your scores to Misha, like football has
time
to.
out. If Misha can say for baseball, because I've had to do this for baseball, you have to put your pitch count in within 24 hours or you're getting fined. Hello? Put your score in within 24 hours.
I totally agree.
Now, I will say this, and I don't mean to interrupt Chris. I will say this: the basketball coaches this year on the Misha website have gotten way better, and I think it's because Misha, because there was an outcry, not only from the coaches but from the media.
Yeah.
Because they're trying to figure out records and all that kind of stuff, and I think Misha finally said, listen, you got to put these scores in. And I know last week I was going through trying to do a little research on some things that I've got coming up, and actually I was pleasantly surprised with the amount of basketball scores that were actually put in and updated and done the right way. Now, the one thing I wish Misha would do, and I know you guys will agree with me, is they need to go like what Iowa is doing with their statistics. Iowa, you put your score in, you put your statistics in, and that is the only place you put your statistics in. If you want to put it into Max Preps, that's on you. But, Iowa, it's mandatory in both the Boys Association and the Girls Association that you have to put your stats in. And that would really take away a lot of issues that Misha has with media trying to trace down stuff, and it puts it on the coaches a little bit to actually have to do their stats.
Well, devil's advocate here, Michigan can barely get their website correct as it is anyway in many instances. Add in another layer of stats, it's tough. Now, them partnering with somebody like Max Preps, which I know some states do.
Some states do.
To power that part of their website would be the way to go.
But the problem with Max Preps is, and I'll be very...
Or something like that.
Yeah, the problem with Max Preps is they only do offensive stats for football. They don't do defensive stats.
Why not?
Nobody knows. I mean, I asked the same exact question. I mean, there's certain stat categories that Max Preps doesn't require, and so it makes it tough for a state association to mandate. When you were only doing half the job.
Well, in being someone who tracks all that information down, it would make things a lot simpler. Now, a little side nugget here. You're talking about stats. I've actually been to Misha to try to look at their archives to see about records of schools. Now, you want to talk about, it's neat, but it's only minimal and state playoff stuff. So you win your district, then they'll kind of keep track of stuff. Other than that, there's nothing that's universally kept by the association that we all pay dues to in order to kind of keep track of this crap for us. And I think that's unfortunate. I also think that's go back to many years ago when you have paper stats and things like that. But what would have been really neat is, hey, and I know I've filled these things out in the past. What did you finish? Here's your record. And you turn it in, and then you have to do your officials evaluations with the little circles and stuff, and like you're doing a Scantron.
Right.
So, why can't we? Why couldn't that have been done? But that's again neither here nor there. The bigger thing is trying to track down this information, and coach is not updating it. And what really steams my grits about the whole thing about rankings, and I'm one of the people who freaking hate this. Is
hate rankings in general?
Well,
or what?
I hate the way the rankings are done. Now, the way the MBCA website posts the rankings right now, I had a very interesting email exchange with whoever's running that part of it, and I said, look, this has to be better because the coaches who submit this to this big Google sheet, like it says, hey, you have class 6 boys and girls, and you have class 5 boys and girls, or you do this, you do that. And it's all broken down. It's on a Google sheet we all can put stuff into. Okay? How are teams receiving votes, and they weren't even on the sheet that I helped put this on? Well, they're 9-6. Well, they play 5 of their 6 losses came to state-ranked teams. How many did they beat?
Yeah. Right.
Who gives a rat's butt? Mm-hmm. Seriously, it's great. That's great. Who cares? You didn't win.
I was going to say, how many other teams lost to state ranked?
Me.
You know?
We lost to Rolla, and they were ranked. I didn't even know it. But you know why? I didn't know it because they received votes, and then they got ranked.
But
and all of a sudden, so we've lost to 2 teams in the top 10 in each of their classes. Number 1 team in Class 1, and the number 10 team at the time in Class 5. And how come we didn't get anything? Now, we're not good enough to be ranked. Okay, let's be serious here. But we're talking about other schools that are getting those looks.
Because it's all name
now, do you?
There we go.
It's all name and region. It's name and region.
Go.
Do you submit each week
For the data?
I know for your team, but for your kids, right? But for you're over a certain.
No, I mean I have.
He just collects data.
He doesn't
for
vote.
like classes and
Let's just say.
Whichever one they need me for, because I'm the guy. Listen,
let's just say Zach's brand new. Okay, he's the brand new coach at St. Pius.
Don't screw this up.
Okay, he's a brand new coach at St. Pius.
I think you told me that before. It didn't work out. But anyway,
Here's another word.
And he's new. He's
new.
not a part of the MBCA, and comes in and they're 10-0. But doesn't know how to send anything in. Doesn't know who to talk to. Doesn't get an email that says he needs to do that. And gets no recognition.
But that's the thing. If you're in the coach association and you're on the board, and the board consists of 24 different coaches. Okay, you're going to help with the polls. Who else wants to be involved with this around the state? These are all around the state coaches. I'll help. Okay, so you volunteered to be able to do this. Number 1, learn how to spell. That's important.
That's important.
Counting's important.
Yeah.
And knowing what freaking class every school is in, because there was 2 weeks where Webster Groves was ranked in 2 different classes in the top 10.
Yes.
They were ranked in 6, and
5.
they were ranked in 5.
Yeah,
I remember that.
And I'm going.
that's impressive.
Okay, I'm going.
Josh is doing a pretty good job.
And how is that possible? How do you not know this?
You see, but you know, and I'll say this about the football poll, which I will say this. I think that how the basketball coaches do their poll is terrific. Because when you look at everything, when push comes to shove, I think it's a very realistic look at what's going on around the state. At least for the most part. Football, it's all media, which I was on that panel for 6 years, and I dropped off the panel. And one of the main reasons was I didn't like how things were going with it, because you mentioned one thing a minute ago, name recognition. And that. So you have 12 guys from all around the state from different areas, and we would send a Google Doc out talking about, okay, this is blah 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 blah. But sometimes that just didn't matter. They would just vote for the people in their area. And I'm going to use a perfect example. This year, the final poll comes out after the state championships in Class 6. There was a team ranked number 4 that lost in the district semifinal. And they're still ranked number 4 in the final poll. That was the breaking point for me when I finally said I will never reference the media poll again, because that was the biggest joke I've seen.
See, that goes back to R7. That goes back to R7 last year in football when they lose in the semifinal. Didn't they lose to the state champion?
No, they lost to, let's see, R7.
It was Lamar.
Yes, they did.
They lost to Lamar.
They lost to Lamar, but I think Lamar lost in the state championship.
Okay.
But still,
how are they not in the top 4 because you're in the final 4?
Exactly. And that's the way it normally should work. If you make it to the state final 4,
you're the final 4.
By hook, by crook, you should be in the top 4 in the state in those final polls.
And
COVID was last year's state.
Okay, so I don't know if you remember this or not. You remember when Salisbury High School had those really good teams, and that one year in the sectional game, New Bloomfield, who went into districts with a 7-15 record, won their district, played the number 1 team in Class 2 and beat them.
Yeah.
Went to the Final Four with a losing record,
And almost won the whole doggone thing.
and they lost the semi. Well, no, the semifinal game was a.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
And then they played for third and they lost that. Okay, so now let's put it like this. So you're 12 and 17. You made it to the Final Four. You're finished 4th in the state. You know what they were ranked? 4.
Yeah.
At the end of the poll, because you finished 4th.
It's no different than March
Exactly.
Madness. It's
Yeah.
March Madness.
Right.
You're playing for the national championship.
but-
It happened
that's
this
the-
fall with Perryville in softball.
Yeah.
We were, and I'm self-admittedly, they were in our district. They beat us in the district semifinals. They won our district with a 12 and 11 record when they won our district. They won the other 2. They finished 4th and they finished 15 and 13
Right.
when they finished, and then so they're finished 4th. By far, they weren't really the 4th best team in the state, but they finished 4th in the state,
Right.
so they've earned it.
You finish. Put it this way, and I firmly believe, and this is why I'm not a fan of the state football rankings anymore, because I think the coaches should have a bigger say, and that's why all the other sports. And I know the soccer thing, it's this kind of convoluted type thing with wins, strength of schedule, or power. Okay, but still, there's at least some formula, but at least the coaches have a little bit of input with that.
Yeah,
Football, there's no input by the football coaches, and it drives me absolutely insane because some of the rankings that have come out on the football side, like I said, I'm not going to mention the school's name this past year, but you lose your district semifinal and you're still the number 4 team in the state. I'm sorry, that doesn't sit well. And they got, that panel got lit up like a Roman candle because of that.
Well, see, and I know we're talking rankings, but because everything kind of comes back to football anyway. To me, you have to do something when it comes to strength of schedule or strength of opponent when it goes into seeding for district. Because let's just use an example. When Valley was Class 1, so if you played Valley, who is number 1 in Class 1, and you're, let's say, Class 2 school, but then you're playing Class 3, Class 4, some scrub-a-dub Class 4
points.
team.
You get the extra points for playing up.
That, to me, that shouldn't matter. They're a scrub-a-dub team. The only reason why they're Class 4 is because of where they're located.
Yep.
Yeah.
But instead of, here we are playing a Valley, we should be getting points because they're number 1 state ranked. And everybody knows they're good, and they're always good. So that there's no incentive.
Yeah, but you do get points from doing that because you do get points based on the fact that not as many, but you get points based on Valley's record at the time.
And that's what I'm saying.
Versus the 0-7 Class 4 team.
But I know what Zach is saying.
Yeah.
That
I
should
know
play-
exactly what he's saying.
That should play into the state rankings.
That should play into
Part
a
of-
formula.
part of the eye
because
test.
I go back to Pius this year with football. How do you, as a Class 1 school, play a Class 3 school who was number 2 in the state at the time, lose, and then the team that eventually they get a 3 seed, and the team that jumps you plays another Class 1 school who's over. Now, because they won. Now you're going to say, okay, because they won. But hold on, time out. Who are you playing here? To me, it goes into that. And that's why you say, and we have argued, and Jarvis was here, we'd argue about, to me, rankings should mean something. Otherwise, don't have it. Otherwise, it shouldn't mean a hill of beans, and don't waste everybody's time. It should mean something, and it should be done correctly.
Well, and then the flip side of this is I say, if you're going to line out districts at the beginning of the season, before the beginning of the season, or a weekend, or now that they're doing it that way, why not say, okay, we're gonna send out to each district, each coach in each district, one person to nominate to pull all stats once a week and send it in to the Coaches Association for all those schools in that district. So every district is got some information, and so then they send it to the panel. Now the panel looks at all of those information that each coach sent in, and then you can legitimately say, I got all the information in it.
It's an association.
That's
now, I'm obviously not a head coach, but as a head coach, why don't I get a vote? I'm paying my dues, and I need to pay more dues than just to go to a coach's clinic. I need to have something for my money or have something for this association. And I told him it doesn't take any amount of time to sit here and say, go by region. every single coach in your region, it's 10, 20 minutes out of your life on your playing time at lunch, in the morning, in the night, and say, hey, we're going to vote. And then it goes up the ladder to the leader of a region. And then those guys are the ones that, okay, here's what everybody thinks.
Right.
That's nice and all. Also, getting responses back to those types of things is
tough.
It's non-existent.
Well, okay.
And I will say this: in softball, we do exactly what they said. In softball, there's someone who's in charge of each region. I was in charge of our region this year. I was also in charge of our district, and I had someone who was in charge of District 4. But it was Westminster, St. Charles West, Orchard Farm, and 4 St. Louis City public schools.
Well, I think 2 of those schools are actually still playing right now because they play. What was that?
That 4.5-hour district semifinal
That
game.
won how many innings?
It went 11 innings. No, 15 innings.
Yeah.
And it was like 28 to 25 or something.
Yeah, they're still playing up at St. Charles.
One team had
It's 20 degrees out. They're still playing softball.
One team had a 12-run lead in the 5th inning and lost it.
And then are we still waiting on them to kick the extra point?
Yeah, but 2-point conversion at that point, triple overtime.
But no, Kevin.
I would put our information from our region and our district into that spreadsheet for ours, and 8 of us would meet on a Zoom call,
Right.
and we would discuss it, and we would kind of come up with, everybody had the same information. We would go, what was on the MSHSAA website? So it didn't matter what the eye test was. It didn't matter what we thought. We would discuss a little bit, like, listen, we know this team is pretty good. We knew,
but you know when you have all these coaches across the state who don't know jack squat about Lone Jack High School or Appleton City,
St. Elizabeth,
or St. Elizabeth, or where these places are, never heard of. Like, Couch is a real school. Yeah, it is. You don't know, so how do you know unless you are very well informed and you're relying on other people?
And that's who should be on the region.
Yep.
I understand that.
You have a representative from that district that can
coming
speak
from
to
the
those.
Coaches
Correct.
Association on just this topic. So they put on an all-star game for seniors every year. Yes, I will have another. And
Fired up.
They put a coach. They put the all-star game on, and you select. There's a representative from the region who oversees all this,
Right.
and you're trying to get coaches to nominate kids to just be in this all-star game. You know how freaking hard it is to get the responses for your own kids.
Oh, yeah.
To get them into, like, here, we're going to give you an extra opportunity for colleges maybe to look at you or get you to play against some of the best players in the
That's
state.
apples and oranges.
Yep.
You're
No, it's
talking
not. It's
real,
the
yes,
same
it is.
thing.
No, it's not. It's
It is
apples
the
and oranges.
same
I'm going to tell
damn
you it's
thing.
not, because you are dealing with real life instead of paper. Because that kid who's probably deserves and should be on the all-star team is in track. Is in baseball, and they don't want to do the All-Star game.
It's not that. It's not getting them to commit to it. It's getting them to respond to the email to give me a list of kids. A list. You talk about email?
Right.
How long does it take you to type an email of, well, here's my kid. Done. You can text it. No. They're still not going to do it. And then they're going to be the same ones like, hey, how come my kid didn't get in this? Well, I don't know, dumbass. How about you just reply to your email? That's the problem.
But the one thing I'm going to say, no.
I'm off the rails, Jim.
Was I even going there?
I don't know.
Because
I was going to pull the parking brake. Tokyo Drift.
no,
It's supposed to snow out. He's drifting.
I would much rather the coaches run the state rankings than the media. There's only one state ranking out there that the media runs, and that's football.
Because nobody cares about. They don't care about anything else,
Right.
other than boys basketball.
Right. I mean, I tried for 3 straight years to do a media poll for basketball, boys and girls. No interest from around the state by anybody.
Yeah.
And that, and I think that's a shame. Because number one, I think the coaches know more about the teams. They hear more about what's going on around the state. They've got people that they can talk to. And I think the coaches should be the ones that are handling the state rankings for their individual sports.
So that, not to switch gears, we'll get back on this. Same
Sounds
way
like
with
we're
pro
switching
sports.
gears.
Same with pro sports in the Hall of Fame. I'm sorry, there's no member of the media that should be voting for the Hall of Fame. That's sidebar. We can talk
So
about that
let me
later.
ask you this. Okay, so if you entered all that information into MSHSAA's website, why wouldn't MSHSAA's website, if you entered stats and you entered all your game scores, why wouldn't that tally up into some
and
kind of
football-
formula.
Football does. It's called Cal Preps or whatever it is.
Max
they do.
Preps.
Well,
Or- I know what you're talking
you know
about.
what I
Yeah.
mean? They have some type of
So-
formula that has ranks.
I
And
think
that formula, though, I will say
I'm
this,
sure it's
and I don't mean to interrupt, Riley. That formula is terrible.
Okay.
I mean, I'm just going to be brutally honest.
Sure.
There were some teams that were ranked that had no business being ranked by the formula that they used.
Sure.
And that, but no, I understand what you're saying. But once again, the coaches know these teams. Let the coaches have a say on who the top teams in the state should be with their weekly rankings.
But
And
I
that's-
will also play off on the devil's advocate here. Okay, well, for instance, let's go look at football this year. Okay, St. Mary's was in the same district as Valley Cap,
Yeah.
and so they probably Valley is one of the top 4 teams in the state in that class.
Without a doubt.
Okay, so but they got lined up with St. Mary's in the district
In the
and
district final.
lost all of that opportunity. But they're in that classification multiplier thing. So now that I think that's really kind of changed their philosophy now, whole deal, where if you put teams in by location I think it would make more sense to do it with, instead of 8 teams in it, do 24 teams in a region and then try to separate that by that way, so then you have 4 district winners coming out of it, but they may be in
Right.
different areas, but they're in a region. So then you get the legitimate games that are meaningful when there should be meaningful.
Don't they do that in hockey,
The
Chris?
one thing I'm going to say
I'm
is
trying to follow what he was saying there for a second.
no. I don't.
I know where
He's
it's
doing
It's where I
exactly
think
what
all
Illinois
sports should
does.
go anyway.
He's going with football the way Illinois does it, and
No way.
in Illinois.
Shocking.
Oh, you went there, Jim.
I know
You
I
went
did.
there.
I hear it goes, but no, I will say this football wise, Illinois' playoff system is the best that I've seen. Now I will say the Missouri system is getting better. I did not agree from the word go that Valley moves up from Class 1 to Class 3. I get the multiplier. I get the championship factor. I get all of that stuff. But you put them up from 1 to 3. Then you give them the double whammy, and you put them in the same district with St. Mary's.
That's just the way the rubber bands fell.
I've had this.
Stretched.
I've had that
It
conversation.
stretched, but it fell back down.
Yeah.
But I
go.
had this argument before. You can't make districts geographic and then add points to it for the championship factor.
Agreed.
Winning. If you're gonna make points and say it's a championship factor, it better be based on championship of some modicum of championship type.
Well, so then there was a
So
conversation.
the region thing fixes that to me.
Right.
And that's
So then
And
there was a
what's in that-
conversation about, okay, so you got this championship factor. Okay, so you align districts and you align teams into their classes. And then you take all of the classification teams that got championship factor and you put them all together. And they compete against each other to come out of the winner of that. And then they go into the state playoff system from that. So then they said,
There's no way.
You don't
Well,
have
that's
many-
what I
Here's
said.
the problem.
Even-
You are
even-
now treading awfully close on that awfully fine line of
Yes.
public-private.
and
That's
that's what everybody
Even-
was complaining
even-
about.
Even
I know.
Separate
We
than
heard that.
You can't do that because you'll have teams to play in a district tournament within 1 week. You'll have teams that got pushed up in Kansas City.
Oh,
You'll
yeah.
have Cape, Notre Dame, and Cape. It's not feasible for the kid. I understand what you're saying. It's just
Yeah.
It's,
And that's what the people on
it's
they were polled. They were talking about it,
That
and
is
that's what they brought up was,
completely
well,
insane.
that you'd be traveling from, let's say, Cape, Notre Dame, all the way out to, North Kansas City,
Yeah.
to play a first round game.
But
Monday night.
in the grand scheme
Yeah.
of things, let's focus on the rankings part.
There is no
There we go. That's the part that got off the rails
Is
right
Chris
there.
putting us back on the rails?
Weird.
He has.
Hey, it was a full moon. It was a full moon yesterday.
Oh, trust me, I know my kids play
Twilight
by
Zone.
He pulled
My
it.
last thing on the rankings is real simple. I think the coaches should have control of it. However they figure it out and do it, I think the coaches should have control because it is their sport. They're the ones that should take care of it. And like I said, I soured a lot on the football media poll this year. because of that situation that I brought up. I thought that was a joke.
So I'm going to bring this up, and you're going to justify it just because that's how you are. But here's the thing, right?
Which one are you talking about, Miller?
Chris, Miller.
Late practice next week.
But we talked about records.
9:30.
So when you put in, whether it's state rankings or district tournament rankings, and you put a team that's 5-20 ahead of a team that's 20-5, I don't care that we know that 5-20 team is going to beat the 25 team. It doesn't matter. The cream's going to rise to the top.
Should.
You cannot penalize a team for winning, and you can't help me out with the verbiage here. You can't sit here and say this team, just because of their name or status, and who knows if they actually will go out and win state. Thank you. Incentivize a 5-20 team.
Well,
if they're in 8, say if they wind up being an 8 and they run the gamut and they win state, great. But you can't sit here and say, well, just because we played a Vashon or we played a CBC or doesn't matter. You still lost. You still might kick everybody's butt and turbo clock everybody by 50. But whether you're the 1 or the 8,
Doesn't matter.
it doesn't matter.
Yep.
So okay, let's use my alma mater, South Iron. They go and play CBC, Vashon, and everybody last year.
Yeah.
In their Class 1, they're playing Class 6, Class 5, Class 4 schools.
Yeah.
The difference between that and playing those schools and losing is they won.
Right.
And they beat everybody that was big except Vashon.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know what we're talking about.
In Helias.
At
They
Helias.
played Helias.
Yeah.
At Helias, I believe. And lost by what? 3, 4? Yeah.
4, I think.
You go out there in your Class 1, you play at Helias Catholic, and you lose by 4. Hey, but then they turn around and then they beat CBC
Yeah.
at
Oh.
CBC.
But what are we
They're-
talking about?
My healthy balance is this. You have to have the wins and the strength of schedule. It can't just be you played a bunch of cupcakes and you're undefeated.
But you can't go 5-20.
But you
I'm
can't
sorry.
turn around and lose to everybody
Not have
and
anything
not
That's
have
what
the
I-
wins. I know.
I
I'm
know, that's
saying
what we're saying.
there has to be the healthy. There has to be a balance.
And what I'm saying
we're
is
throwing
we
teams-
don't have the healthy balance.
I know because
Right.
people are. It's like, well, they play these teams. That's freaking great. There's somebody else who's.
You
It's-
can't be
Listen,
state ranked and have a
somebody's-
losing record.
you're not
I
gonna
don't
be-
think you can be a 1 seed and have a losing record. I'll bet a soda that
At what point in the season are you saying this? Like right now?
Hold on.
any point in time. Now, okay, a week one of football. You're I don't know.
one,
I'm
week
making
one, week
something
two.
up. You're a CBC and you're going
Well, I
on
don't care about
ESPN.
football.
At this point
Well,
in the
no,
basketball
but
season,
let me piggyback off of that, and he's got a point there. For football, you can't say that, and I'll use CBC as a perfect example. You know, they lose to East St. Louis. Okay, that's not a bad loss
No.
by any stretch of the imagination.
yeah.
You know, and then I'm sorry, it was DeSmet. DeSmet loses to East St. Louis in week 2, and then they turn around and lose to CBC. So they're 1-2. They're still going to be state ranked because you look at who they lost to. Now, you know, as everything kind of shuffled out, you know, they maintained in the top 10 and
But eventually they started winning again. If they turned that 2 losses into 4 losses, it
right.
It
Oh no,
affected
I would
that's-
never put a losing record on a top 10 poll.
And I go into, if I go into vote, which doesn't matter now, I could say this is JV coach, but if I'm going to go in and vote and you sit here and tell me, hey, we're 8-18, okay, but we played this school and that school and that school. Okay, did you win? No, but we only lost by 4. And okay, you still lost. I don't care if it's by 1 point or 50 points. Your record is 8-18. This guy, you can't penalize the programs for who's on their schedule.
No.
And you
can't.
You think about it. It's like you said. You're 8-18, but we played this school, and school. Okay, that's 3 games. Even if you win it, you're still 11-15.
Right.
Right.
You,
So that doesn't
and
mean much.
You are probably going to win and turbo clock everybody. Like that's what I'm trying to say. You probably will win your district and have a chance to go into the Final Four with a losing record. But I can't give you the 1 seed.
You'll just do it wearing the darker jersey.
I just
Yeah.
Thank you.
And what's wrong
Thank
with that?
Nothing's
Thank you.
wrong with it.
And I've seen that.
What's wrong with it is coaches throw hissy fits over it. That's
But
what's
state rankings don't mean jack squat when it goes to districts. Your district
No.
seed meeting is you compared to the other schools, common opponents, common wins. I beat you beat me.
But it should.
That's
I
right.
ought to be able to say,
No.
I beat this state-ranked opponent.
You
if
can.
If you and I have
can.
have a tied record.
Well, there's no
if you're-
poll in that.
If you're 15-15 and I'm 15-15,
All right.
and I say,
All right.
here are my
All right.
here's the feathers in my cap. I beat this school, this school, this school. They were state ranked. They were state ranked. They were state ranked. Do you have that? If we're tied,
You got a lot of feathers there, pimp. I'm
Yeah.
gonna tell you right now. Here's what you got to do. Okay, plain and simple.
do you have this? No.
Look,
Then I get a better
you
seed.
can say that you played a state.
Did
ranked
you have
team.
early practice or
Not
late practice?
Played, win.
Early practice, bro.
Win. Yeah.
Early practice.
Can you
Win.
imagine this conversation on a bench during a game? This is
Normally
priceless
it's
right
this.
now.
Shut up. Shut it. No, it's not. No,
Zach
but-
just stands up and goes, shut up.
There's a picture of both of them standing.
Well, his mouth isn't open, but he's standing like, can I speak now?
I'm not looking, so I don't know.
yeah.
I just think that you can say that in a district seed meeting and say we played
Yeah.
this team, but it comes down to if we played and you beat me and I played the state ranked team and beat them, you're going to get a higher seed because you beat me.
I'm not taking that. Okay.
No, I am. It's going to happen.
Listen,
No.
you didn't let me
It's gonna
finish.
happen.
You didn't let me finish.
You're full of molasses. If you
I,
don't.
listen,
watch
you
boy.
didn't let me finish. What I'm saying is, in our team of 7 or 8 districts, where we're at because of the Jefferson County St. Louis split and MSHSAA split, how many teams are we actually playing in our district? 2, 3 tops. So there's 4 other schools that you are trying to compare to try and get a better seed.
I know.
I know. And what I'm saying is, if I have the state wins against state-ranked opponents and you don't, I have the record and you don't, then I don't care that you're going to beat me by 40. I have the better resume. My resume's better. I get the higher seed.
I will tell you this: going into any district seed meeting, and I've seen it happen it's happened in your district.
I know.
That hey, we're 5-18, but we beat you, and you.
I know.
And they were the 4 seed,
Right.
and the team that they beat had better records as the 5. The 6 seed had a better record. The 7 seed had a better record, but they beat you, and you. So
get
it doesn't
that.
matter. I beat the state ranked
I
team.
didn't say that,
I lost
Chris.
to you. You're getting a better seed in the
Dude,
district.
I didn't say that.
Do you think that happens? Do you think
I
that?
didn't say
Do
that.
you think that if he's the coach and he lost to you, but he
I'm telling you,
beat
it's happening.
he beat the number 1 ranked team in the state?
Either.
He
It's happening.
He beat the number 1 ranked
I
team
go
in the
back
state.
and not
Do
only
you
say
not
that-
think that coach is sitting over there? All he heard was he beat the
State
number
ranked.
1 ranked
State
team in the
ranked.
And
state.
then I beat
Oh,
the team that beat the number 1 ranked team.
Hey.
Because when we go up to the CB in
that doesn't
Carnahan,
matter. You're full of
hey,
molasses.
okay, South Iron loses to Carnahan. They whip us. Waynesville beats Carnahan. We beat Waynesville. And we don't play Carnahan.
All I heard was wah 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 wah.
right.
We beat South Iron.
Just saying.
Here's the one thing
we
I'll
beat
say.
South Iron, state-ranked team.
Districts head-to-head should always come into play. Strength of
Sure,
schedule.
should.
For the state polls, I still say this. It should be on the coaches. The coaches should figure out the best way that is the best for their for their sport, and let them handle it and keep the media the hell out of Dodge.
I agree with that. Agree with that.
Kevin and Jim are like, we gotta stop. We gotta
They
stop.
started the music like 5 minutes ago. Nobody's listening.
I can't hear the music in my headphones.
Riley's,
That's right.
Riley's not even talking.
That's right. I'm being quiet.
This is the end of our bench.
So
Between me, Riley, and
we're gonna go to-
back in a little bit.
That's right.
Whether it's residential or commercial, Home by SMCI has the right products for you. Global Plasma Solutions will attack your bacteria, mold, viruses, and even help with dust in your house. They install easily in less than 45 minutes, and it's invaluable for the rest of your life. If you're interested in any of the products they offer, give Home by SMCI a call today at 636-337-4242. 603-682-4444 or email them at service@homebysmci.com.
Are you worried about planning for your financial future? Turn to the expert with 29 years of experience and give Brian Waits a call today. Brian Waits at Waits Financial Services specializes in investments, life insurance, retirement plans, tax planning, and even 401k rollovers. For more information, or if you just want to get a quote, call Brian at 314-374-6713 or email him at bwaits@woodburyfinancial.com.
Are you looking to buy or sell a home? If so, contact Stacy Miller at Berkshire Hathaway Home Services. Stacy works with first-time home buyers and even savvy sellers. She also specializes in working with investors, lenders, and title companies. Stacy will be there every step of the way. Contact her today at 314-606-1007 or visit stacyzmiller.com. No time to eat in? No problem. Don't feel like cooking? We'll do it for you. Need wings for your party? TJ's Bar and Grill has got you covered. TJ's is a local mom and pop establishment in Peevely, Missouri, known for their own homemade pizza sauce, barbecue sauce, and their famous TJ's wing sauce. Open 7 days a week, they are family friendly, biker friendly, and locally owned. Come by or order by phone with your credit card at 636-475-3648. TJ's Bar and Grill. We're glad you stopped by. Roses are red, violets are blue. Whether you're buying or selling a home, let Kelly Kaufman move you. Kelly Kaufman of Real Living Gateway Real Estate brings a fresh approach with an honest, innovative, aggressive, and junk-free fee experience for all her customers. Whether you're a first-time buyer or experienced seller, Kelly Kaufman has the tools to deliver the best client experience in the industry. Give Kelly a call today at 314-221-6090 and let her move you today.
All right, so we are back with our second segment here on the Coach's Box. And guess who just walked in?
What's up?
Do you guys?
Jarvis.
Hey, do you guys want to hug it out?
Why?
Why?
Because it's Did we get wings episode?
No, I got
didn't get-
wings.
How come we didn't get wings?
No one texted me and said we
Dude.
were going to get wings.
I believe we talked about it for a whole year.
I got wings.
Later,
All I was gonna
later.
say is I
Talked
got
about it on
done.
the show. I didn't get a message about wings.
I got done doing the prep zone from Tilton's office at 10:30. I don't see anybody there, and so I get in the car. I call Blair. Oh yeah, we're in Miller's office. Well, I'm already in the car going up 55 heading home.
I don't know. We spent a lot of time in my office.
Hey, I will give him this. Considering how the last couple times we played have went, where we, you beat me last time and I beat you before, but we said that we would get wings. Jason came in. We chit-chatted after our game.
Yeah.
Pretty much while you guys were playing. And the game actually turned. We went in and Bice was winning, and then we came out and Bice was losing. Our kids went like,
Wow, that escalated quickly.
Yeah, we couldn't watch the game in my office.
I didn't miss watching it, but I mean, I could hear the crowd. Yeah, I mean, it was probably good I left because then some good karma came out there.
I agree. I agree.
But we,
That bad juju went away.
We had good
I don't
support.
know. I haven't been
let's
at very
take-
many of your games, and yeah, so don't know. It ain't bad juju.
I agree.
Jarvis.
I agree.
So everything's copacetic. You guys are
we
still buddies.
yeah,
we're
we hung-
good,
we
we're
hung
not-
out.
No, you guys kicked our butt fair and square. I mean, what? We kicked your butt for a quarter, and that was it.
Things
It was a good
escalated
night.
quickly.
It was a really good night. It was nice to see. It was nice to see in between the ball games the Think Pink kind of the announcements that they
That
did
was awesome.
and the stories that were told. So that was pretty neat.
And then
and all in all, I mean, great atmosphere.
Oh, yeah.
Like you said, we could hear.
Oh, my gosh.
We could hear at the JV, not JVs. We won. JV won. Just FYI.
Well, I mean, if you count 4 wins, go ahead. Hey, like I said, I was worried about the varsity.
Hey,
game.
I thought maybe you guys would play tonight.
I told
your
I
JV
told
tonight
Zach.
instead of
I
freshman.
said, you know what you should do? You should go on the MSHSAA site on the JV and write forfeited under the JV score just to see what would happen.
Do you know how many shenanigans are probably going on with that and teams just saying, I don't want to play. We're just going to call it COVID.
I think there's a couple of schools that are right up and down the highway here who tried to pull that one
They might have.
in their games. I'm not going to say who it is and where they are, but not too far from here.
Well, that's a whole nother
Another
segment.
story for another day.
Hey, that's for the after hours version.
Hey, come on now. Call like we see it. We can talk about that at some
Banner
point.
needs to be replaced.
We can talk about that. But Jim, since we got you here, let's talk about what's going on in your world. And we all want to know, what is it like working with?
That's exactly what I want to know.
Over here.
I'm going to say this, and you guys know this, but not a lot of people know this. I coached basketball for years back in Ohio, and this year, due to some health issues with my foot, I got a stress fracture back in July, and it's healing, but it's still not to the point to where my orthopedic is letting me run. And so we were actually joking one night when, certain schools have like 25 assistant coaches and analysts and all that kind of stuff. Josh, I know you're watching.
The Lady Black Cats, isn't it?
We were kidding, and Riley says, "Hey, if you want to come and help out, I'm on board." And it's great. I get down here when I can. And it's been fun. I'm having a blast, getting back, helping out a little bit. Getting back to my roots from, when I lived back in Ohio and coaching for so many years. And so, we have a great time. I'm just, like I said, I'm just really having a fun time this year. Since I can't run up and down the floor, I can still be part of the game. Basketball's been such a big part of my life for so long. Last year, when I broke the other foot and I couldn't do anything, from February and March, there was a void. And then obviously with the mask mandate and all that stuff, I was really bummed out. And with the stress fracture and all that stuff, I just said, I'm not going to do that this year. I'm going to get involved. And Riley is gracious enough to let me come down and help out whenever I can. And it's been a blast. We've had so much fun.
Well, how many? What is Jim on your assistant coach? How many coaches do you have?
Blast! Oh wait,
No, wait! I'm not saying rank them. No. How many?
Because her ears popped up.
Duncan's sitting right there.
Like, I will fight somebody. No. How many coaches do you have now?
Let's see.
How many do you have to list on when you do district entries? That's the question. Manager, supervisor. Superintendent, sir, you can't come in. You're on the pass list. I don't tell you.
That would be 8, including.
Good God! 8?
Plus you.
Yeah.
Plus you.
Hey.
Yeah.
Hey, you could scrimmage.
Wait a minute.
You guys could almost scrimmage.
Here's
Our coaching staff goes out there and blazes. Hey, you guys don't suck. Coaches,
I
get out
have
there.
a question.
Let's hear it.
Uh-oh.
Jim Powers. Why is 24?
Here it is. I knew it was coming.
Why is 24 still being wasted down there in the lower levels?
Wow.
Wasted.
Wow. Lower level
Holy
games.
moly.
When she
Board,
could be
you
lighting
hear
that
this?
Scoreboard
Amy,
up
do you
with
hear
that
this?
jet.
Hey, how many did she have tonight, Coach Eddie?
Oh, tonight. I don't think she played well tonight.
Coach Eddie was like, "Hey, we're going to shut down that Jarvis girl. That's our number one goal."
That's it.
That's what we talked about. And I'm like, "Listen, I don't care. It's freshmen and it's girls, and I'm not the girls' coach. You take care of that." But he said, "I want to make sure that we shut her down because she's varsity ready."
That's right.
That's it. That's it.
I just want
Hand
to
to
get
I will defer
say
that. Hey, hold on. I'm deferring that to Bohr.
Hey, how many people is this going to pass through before he finally gets back to him? Hey, wait, seven people.
Well, he doesn't know. I've already talked to the superintendent, the assistant superintendent. I just skipped the AD. I skipped the principal. I went straight to the top.
How many
That's
board
why they
members?
called me
How many
today.
board members did you talk to?
I have only talked to one board member. I got a few more I'm going to get on. This just doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense.
I mean,
to me.
if you're needing offense, she's instant offense.
I know.
I mean, she's
Next
instant
question.
offense.
I'm sure we've all had a parent like that.
Never.
I have not gotten to that point yet, but I'm working on it.
had any parents
I've been trying. Hey, what are we in? We're like, what,
gun,
week what?
let
And
alone
I've held
miniguns.
my breath. I've not said much, but
It's just weird on you.
I know.
You're watching
Interesting.
this. You're seeing this.
So
this,
the translation, Riley, is you're getting dinner table to death at Jughead House number whatever.
and at this dinner table.
Come on now.
The big thing here is I've got 8 other coaches underneath me, and none of them have recommended her to start. Come on.
Wait, hey, Coach Blair, I have a question. What does Miss Jarvis have to do in order to play varsity basketball? The world wants to know.
That's a question that needs to be answered behind closed doors.
Well, you just blasted her by saying that about your 8 coaches haven't suggested it.
I haven't.
So now her
No.
esteem is
That
gonna
was
be down.
that was not. No. That was not a blast on her.
You didn't hear
That was a blast on us.
And now,
Stirred over
yeah, I mean, now
add-
you just make
add it
things
to
worse.
your anonymous
I really
letter.
hope she's not watching the show because now, how is she going to play very hard for you?
Oh, no! She didn't suggest it to me. She didn't suggest it to me.
And I have not heard. That's the first.
She must have passed it up to Kyle Bohr.
Yes, and Coach Rhodes is exactly right. When he came down and visited us this summer, she has the best jumping jacks ever.
Yes.
That's what I heard.
The best jumping jacks ever.
Hey,
Well, enough of this. Let's get back to Jim Powers.
Wait, I got a question though. Let's go back to Friday night. The antics in the JV girls game
Great stuff.
between the Herculaneum JV and other coaches on the bench and the St. Pius coach on the bench. If that would have been me or you,
I
we
know.
would have got tossed.
Well, now,
Did you
Great
see
tell,
that,
time
how
out.
far they were on the court?
Hey, the volleyball
tell.
lines are not the coach's box.
so let me ask you this.
So, Printel, what do you mean?
I'm bringing it out.
Talking about?
Here it goes.
So I know there's a bunch of officials watching. I've been seeing this
There
on my
is?
thing. So
I don't
Yes.
think
I'm going to.
That's why McVey hasn't been saying much.
No, he said enough of it before.
I have not.
A couple of episodes ago, you were pretty mouthy.
So
I know he was. That's when I started calling him the bitter old man on the stand.
Get off my lawn! Well, you
So-
gotta have somebody to keep us online. Kevin's tried.
I've been doing this a long time, and I was trying to do the right thing.
Oh yeah, you were.
Right.
Oh,
and
yeah.
I was
These
trying
pictures.
to make the official known that the clock said 0-0, but then the horn never went off. for at least 2 or 3 seconds went by.
All right, and what was the
And
problem?
then there was a foul called.
Okay.
5 seconds.
Okay, and then when the foul was called, neither one of the officials knew that the clock was at 0. So I stood up and was trying to explain to the official that the horn didn't go off and the clock has been 0
Sounds
for at
like-
least 2 or 3 seconds.
Sounds like the clock guy's not very good over there at Pius. I don't know.
But here's
That's
what
what Haley said.
But
I don't know.
let me
Horn didn't go off.
I misunderstood.
so
AD.
I've been doing this a long time,
It was Tillman's fault, is what I heard over here in the gallery.
Wow.
and
Not
I've
me, Tillman, but he's asleep. He's what I hear.
I've never been told this in my entire time of coaching.
Hold on,
I bet you have.
Let's rank this on a scale of 1 to 10 of it being professional or not.
Well, I guarantee you'll be non-professional. But he approaches me with a stern voice and tells me,
I
pardon,
forgot all about this.
I'm going to pardon my use of language here because I don't do this very often. But he told me to take my ass to the end of the bench and sit down.
He used the 3-letter word on you?
Yes.
Yes.
Told me to go take my ass
Asterisk.
to the end of the bench.
Asterisk.
So as soon as that happened, I turned completely different, Coach Blair. And I went after him as far as, you don't ever tell me that. And then immediately as soon as I took a step, Kyle Moore had the back of my shirt.
Because I'm sitting at the end of the JV bench. I see this going on, and I just look at Kyle, and I go, Kyle, you better go get him because he ain't
I
getting
think
seen in
you
this
better go get him
game,
now.
and we're not coaching the varsity game. Go get him back here.
And, I wouldn't have said anything, and I wouldn't have approached him. But when you cuss at me, I think that's a no-no. A complete no-no.
No, it is.
You're a professional. I'm a professional. If I cuss at you, I guarantee you I'm getting a technical foul. Into your face.
What do you think? we got some guy over here laughing about it. But I don't know. He may or may not say choice words. I don't know.
I think at that point, it was free reign just to go ahead and just say it's like, okay, I'll use all 7 dirty words. Let me tell you what I think about you.
I didn't even say it in Bosnia.
But,
That was funnier.
But I will say, I was sitting next to my wife. We're like, oh my God. She goes, look at Blair. I go, oh my God.
And
he
I'm
must
over
have
there
really
going,
said something.
hey,
That was
I'm
good."
standing up there with the kids on the stage, and I see this happen, and I just start going, throw him out! Just throw him out! Don't talk to me like that! Stand behind the kids yelling like
you're
that.
right. I was thinking the same thing. If that was me.
Yeah, because I'm
That was
like,
me.
you kidding me?
Well, everybody in the gym knew I was mad
Hey,
because after he said
and let's
something to me, I didn't look
let's
nicely.
fast forward to last night's games. I'm not saying anything. Now, you can ask these guys and if they can lie to you just to throw me on the bus.
No.
I have been so much better about getting on to officials. I said, I'm not losing my head again. At Afton game, I lost my freaking head. So I've been really good. And I said, I'm not going to do that. So there was a couple of possessions where it seemed like, Zach, correct if I'm wrong, I think there was a couple of violations where the pivot foot moved a few times, and I'm just like, they're walking. Probably about that loud. And it
I'll
wouldn't
put it this way. I'm here to Kevin, and I couldn't hear what he
Are you
was
talking
saying.
about in our game?
No,
No,
in our
this is
game
yet
last night.
Last night.
And then at one point, one of their kids is
Last night. I
dribbling
wish I
and
would've
does
watched.
this and clears some space. And I'm like, he pushed off. And the ball went out of bounds, dead ball, blows the whistle. The other guy blows the whistle, and this other guy, who's the trail ref, blows the whistle, turns around and he says, Coach, you need to worry about coaching your kids and stop officiating the game. Let us do it. And I'm like, now, old Chris would have liked to have told me.
I know what old Chris would have done.
Chris.
Old Chris
Like,
would
I know what old Chris
I
Miller
can't
would
wait
have
till
done.
the tournament next week. Old Chris will come back at some point.
It will
Watch.
creep into that gymnasium at some point.
Hey, one of the officials was at that game last night was at the tournament last year during the Hulk Slam game.
Oh.
The same one that you're thinking of. And I'm just telling you, I held my cool. Wasn't the one who talked to me. And
Coach Winkler.
I'm going, I really want to tell this guy that he needs to concentrate on walking and breathing at the same time before the good
But
Lord takes him
that's
away.
the new Chris Miller that everybody
And I
loves. And
I just
respects.
didn't, and I didn't. I worried about coaching the kids, but at the same time, it's like, listen, it goes back to a greater thing. It's like, why? You're right. If you say that, if you have that, if he can say that to you, then you turn around. Can I say that to you without getting technical?
Well, and if I would have said, I don't want to hear you take your ass and go to the other side of the court, what would have happened?
You would have gotten
I would have got double this.
No, you got
Yeah,
double
yeah,
dipped.
you've been
You're double
gone.
dipped at
Yeah.
that point.
So,
see, and
Now
that's
me,
the thing.
I'm like, I'm not giving them a hard time. I'm just, I'm watching the game, and I'm. Everybody knows I'm a little passionate, I'm a little emotional.
Yeah.
Okay, but it's like, hey, you're missing it. And I had a conversation with the other official, and I said, look, your partner was a little upset at the way I was just kind of pointing out. I think that kid's walking. I think that kid pushed off. I'm not trying to be ignorant or anything, but please watch it.
Yeah.
And that's exactly what I told the
Can
other
I
guy.
ask a question, and then you guys can go? Why can it not be okay for a coach to be passionate? Because think of all the time and the hours and all the things that we do on a daily basis.
Or your
for our
job's
kids
on the line.
Or your job's on the line. Hello, officials. You guys need to understand that a little bit. And so when we do see things, I get it. We see things through our lens, through
all I can
our
see it.
team, and all of that. But why is there not any leeway? Why is there not any leeway? I don't get it. Why can't somebody say, "Hey, coach, I hear what you're saying. I hear what you're saying.
Well,
I'm going to look for
That's
it."
why they got the warning. Remember, they
Right.
put in the warning a couple years ago.
There is no more warning.
you don't have to.
They don't have to. They
there's-
don't.
it's
well,
there.
they don't have to.
They don't
It's
have
I know they
there.
don't have to, but what I'm saying is, why even put it in?
Right. The one thing I'm going to say.
It's never used.
I want to hear what Jim
Hardly
has to
ever.
say.
Go
Let's
ahead.
Well, number one, when I didn't know what was exactly said till Riley came back, and when Riley said that, I was incensed because I know as an official, you never swear. You never. That is the golden no-no on the court.
Right.
You do not swear to a kid. You do not swear to a coach. And that's the way it should be.
Correct.
Oh,
And that when Riley
he
said
said the
that,
magic words.
I was livid. I was not a happy camper about it.
I saw you get up afterwards. I was like, what is going on over there?
Yeah. And I mean, you just don't, that's just, you don't do that as an official. You know, now, with what happened with Chris, you know what, if the voice is not being raised, and once again, there's a way to approach coaches, and we've talked about this.
I would agree.
Of course.
We've been on the show, and I've been on the show with you guys. There's a way, if coaches talk to an official the way that they handle their business, talking to an official, there's no reason why the official cannot have a conversation and you guys can, get on the same page. You may not agree, but you can at least understand where each other is coming from. And once again, that's why, a lot of coaches love it when I walk on the floor to officiate a game, because they know if they've got a question, as long as it's not every word is the F-bomb coming out, or you're not screaming at me from across the court. If you get me in front of your bench, I will be more than happy to explain and have a conversation, and we'll move on. We may not agree on it,
Sure.
but that is what young officials need to learn. And I know it's been a topic that SLOA, the St. Louis Officials Association, in working with the younger officials, that's one of the things that we definitely are going to be working on with the younger officials is the communication piece.
Well, and that's a big part of it. Oh, what happened there?
That was me.
Oh, thanks,
My
Jack.
food.
I think it's like this. I mean, again, like you said, you're passionate about the job. You put in a lot of hours. It's stressful when it's like, especially if the officials haven't shifted positions,
Right,
And,
and
they're on the
always-
backside, so it's always the same guy for like the last 4 plays, and he's missed 3 traveling violations, or there's 3 in the paint, or
Or it's
whatever.
called differently. That's the
And
kicker.
there's the other one.
That's, that's the other
It's
thing.
the other thing. It's not called the same way. So then you have that happen. Be as consistent as you can.
Yeah.
But at the same time, if I want to have a conversation, I'm getting a little aggravated, just the same as you're going to get aggravated.
Sure, absolutely.
But when you're coming over to me, and again, you talk about like how you're supposed to teach kids and your approach and your tone and everything else. Diffuse the situation.
Right.
Yeah.
You're coming over and it's like, coach is upset. And now,
when I was young and I was 18 and an official, I didn't know jack squat. Okay,
Right.
I didn't know anything, so I would just be pissed off too.
yeah.
But now it's like if I'd see this happen, and even if I was officiating a few years ago, I did some like summer league games and stuff.
Right.
When I was out at Grandview, I would just diffuse the situation. It's like, hey man, look, this is what I saw. I'm gonna watch for it the next time. I get
Exactly.
it. I get it. You know.
See, but here's the
own
thing.
it a little bit.
There you go. Right
That's
there.
it. That's all you have to do.
And you know what? I would be willing to bet, just like us as teachers in the teaching profession, when we have to deal with parents,
Yep.
a lot of the time is
Yep.
they want to vent. Coaches want to be able to vent to the
Exactly.
officials.
That's it.
That's it.
That's it.
That's it. But as soon as I'm done talking, I'm done.
Yeah.
No.
No,
Listen, the game's still going on.
How
the game is still going on.
How they look? It's you can understand, and the best thing for an official to do is say, "Look, coach, I've talked to you.
Yeah.
Okay, and you're still look. We're going to agree to disagree.
Right, that's
you
it.
need to be careful of how you're acting because
Yeah.
you're crossing the line. And sometimes, if you don't have another assistant coach sitting there pulling on your shirt or whatever, you don't see it. Like Coach Eddie, that crazy Bosnian guy over there, he doesn't have an assistant coach, so he's going to go nuts. That's the thing that drives me nuts the most about it. Now, I will say this, and I'm going to go back to this point because I'm going back on the rails. The JV game was out of control. If it had been me or Jason, we totally would have got tossed.
Yeah.
Sure.
And
Your reputation.
you almost got tossed
your
out there.
reputation precedes you. That's
You guys
why.
were out on the damn court. You used
couldn't
all kinds
hear.
of bad
You
words.
couldn't
Nope.
hear.
Nope.
Oh, yeah,
You
I can
had
hear.
to be out there.
If you want to know, you can go to St. Pius X Live Facebook page. You can watch the game because it was streamed and
Go
it's
ahead.
still there. And go back and watch it.
Go
It was
ahead.
all kinds of exciting stuff.
It was, and it was extremely loud.
And it was extremely loud. We had a great crowd.
Yeah,
and
it was awesome.
Great
Hey,
turnout. And then we turned out
sometimes-
to play last night, and it felt like we were playing in an open, empty gym.
Hey, timeout. Now listen, there was one time last night when we tried to get a timeout. He was going this way. You're on this end of him. I know you want a timeout. I get up, and we're sitting here in both of his ears. Timeout, timeout,
Hang
timeout.
on.
And he still doesn't hear it.
That's why.
Grandpa,
That's
put
why you
in your
do.
hearing aid.
That's what you do. What I do. You just start going out on the
That's what I
floor.
wanted to say.
There's the old Miller.
I know, because I wanted the timeout.
Now, the one thing
I'm glad I'm eating right now.
I know you are,
because
but
there's way too much talk going on. You notice officials that Coach Jarvis is eating his food.
Oh
being
my
quiet.
God.
That's the only reason why he's being quiet.
Exactly.
Lay off here, I'm starving. Just like I am during the game to you guys.
That facial expression in that photo doesn't look like that.
We have video proof otherwise.
Can you clean that off real quick?
all right, go ahead, Coach Blair.
That
Go
video,
ahead.
So-
those pictures were not
you know,
me yelling at refs.
I'm good friends with an official that's posted on social media
I was
last
going to
night.
say, you're good friends with the official, Jim.
Yeah, I am.
Well, another official, and I saw the same post that,
and,
that,
you know-
that he
Oh,
saw.
I know. I saw it
And-
too. I was like, ugh.
Some guy that's been around for a long time, officiated a ton of basketball games
Yes.
for a long time.
Great umpire
And multiple.
too.
and
And
does
great
umpire
umpire.
and does college and all across the board, and he is basically at his wits' end with not coaches,
The fans.
the fans.
Yep.
And
no, hold on, time out. Let's be a little more specific.
Well, he did
Let's
say-
be a little more specific. I believe it was the
parents.
demographics of 18 plus, the adults.
He said parents
Demographic.
and fans is what he
Yeah.
stated, but he said that the problem is he said I'm not having fun anymore
Yeah.
because I have to deal with way too much that I don't even need to. I'm out here because I love the game and I love to give back to my community, give back to the kids. And he's like, I feel like I just don't love it anymore.
That is why, and
it's sad to hear that.
That is why we are losing great officials.
Agreed.
But no. That's not why.
It's one of the main reasons. Zach.
The reason why is because there's, and I believe it was part of the post was, or at least maybe another one, there's no support. Do you want to know why there's a teacher shortage? Do you want to know why there's an official shortage?
Yep.
Because there's no support from the higher-ups, from the people that can make decisions, but they don't want to ruffle feathers.
Right.
Because they got their good old boy network at all these different schools, because they're friends with everybody and saying, listen, I'm going to do my job. come hell or high water, and when something's wrong, something's wrong. And if you want to fire me, fire me. But you know what? I'm at least going to do the thing that's right. That has gone away from what's happening with officials. That's gone away what's happening in public education system, all of that. Okay?
Sure.
And that is an absolute problem nationwide.
Well, you saw another thing come out, from winter AAU stuff. A parent jumped an official in the middle of the court.
How about the politician?
Yeah.
How about the politician? The
politician.
politician de-pants or tried to de-pants an official.
Yeah, down in Tennessee.
A representative.
What state was this in? Illinois?
I had to remove the mayor Bonterre from a basketball game at Herky one time.
But the thing is,
The official asked me to. And I was like,
That's
okay.
fine.
And then I found out later it was the mayor.
And you are never allowed to go to Hub's Pub ever again.
I mean, I would hope. I treat that official very well, so I would hope I could go there.
the thing is, Zach's got a great point, and I think we all know it. I know it. I know that as the music's on again, we're getting told we got to go to a break here in a minute.
Blair's supposed to be talking when that comes on.
This is twice tonight. I haven't been talking.
I mean, but the bottom line is, we're screaming for officials, and we got to figure out ways to keep the good officials. That certain official, I mean, you saw the outpouring. Half the comments that were made were from officials.
Yes.
Slick Rick and Rags and some of the St. Louis guys that have worked with this
telling
gentleman.
Rick, because we had him out at Northwest the other
Yeah.
night. It was him and I can't even. I sat and talked to him forever. And Rickerman, and we had those two and a guy I didn't know, and we were just talking about refs and blah blah blah. And I was talking about how my Saxony game. I don't know how many of you seen that, but I had a very young. I'm sure you did. I had a very young officiating crew at that game. And they were excellent.
Yeah.
And I told them afterwards, hey, good job, blah blah blah. But we need more of those.
We need more of those.
And they were really good. And there wasn't a whole lot of yelling or anything during that game, which was good. But I mean, they were really really good. And I'm like, man, we need more young officials like that. Well, and it's hard to get a young person to want to do something that you're going to get yelled at.
And
constantly.
I think the biggest thing about it, like last night or 2 nights ago, we had a great crew down at West County. I mean, did they miss some calls? They said yes. I missed that one, Coach. That was on me. Like twice. The official told me that. I said, hey, I get it. That's all I'm asking.
Just be accountable.
Yes. So
there we go.
And I said, at the end of the day, those 2 calls didn't make or break us winning or losing that game. But I said, I'm still going to be passionate for my kids. I'm going to still fight for my kids. And the one official said, Coach, I know you. You're going to fight for your kids until the buzzer sounds. Well, and then you might fight for them afterwards.
Yeah, exactly.
Because you're that passionate about it. I was okay with that.
I told you guys this story a couple years ago. Dustin Hayes, the head coach over at Rockwood Summit, reaches out to me and he says, hey, Jim, and I worked his game the night before. He said, hey, do you mind if I send you a couple of huddle clips so you can walk me through what my kids are doing? Because he wanted his kids to get better. And so he sends me these clips, and I sat there. There was like 5 or 6 of them. There were 2 that I missed. I missed it. And so we're walking. He called me that afternoon, and we're walking through it. And he goes, "Okay, the first one." I said, "Dustin, I screwed the pooch on that one. I missed it." And he goes, "Well, what did you see at the time?" I told him what I saw at the time. He goes, "Okay, I can see that, but then I told him. I said when I went back and looked at it again, I should have never called that." We walked through that, and I wish more officials would use huddle, would talk to coaches to get that access so they can watch their games, so that they can self-evaluate themselves.
I think there's a lot of that missing.
There's so much good that can come out of that. And you know what? I know everybody sitting at this table. I know all the coaches up in St. Louis and down here in Jeffco. If an official goes up to them and says, hey, listen, if I give you my email address, can I get access to this game? There is not one of them that will say no, because they want to see the game get better, and one of the main ways that the game gets better is if the officials are doing their due diligence.
Yes.
And
yes.
working to get better and striving to be a better,
And that
official.
makes more sense because as coaches, we watch film so we can make our teams better.
Exactly.
Go to clinics so we can get better at what we do. In turn, and I think that's the frustrating part. You used to have to go to the officials' clinics and work on mechanics and things like that. I don't even know if they do it anymore.
Oh, no, you still have to do the mechanics. There's still the slow meetings, and obviously the last year and a half, 2 years has been because of COVID.
I was going to say,
it's been tough because of
Dylan
COVID.
played a little bit of AAU this year.
Yeah.
And they had one at the St. Louis Center.
Right,
Because
that
I
was
saw
the training.
Kyle Marler
Yep.
and I saw several officials that I see during the year. And they were there. The officials were there working with new officials. I mean, the work's being put in, I believe. We just need more people that want to do the
Right.
work. And
It's just a sad state of
But
affairs.
we
And I
need
think-
to have what Zach said earlier. There needs to be that piece to where if a fan decides that they want to get stupid, they get ejected. They get ejected from the game. And I know that because there was a couple of things that came, on that thread today with our good friend. There's a couple schools, even up in St. Louis. If you get run out of a game once, okay, that's your warning. If it happens again, you're gone for a year. You cannot come to any extracurricular activities for 365 days.
Yes.
I really wish either every school would do that or Michigan would make that adaptation across the board.
I know in my 7 years of doing this, that as a head coach, that I was administrator. I'm always the administrator at our Christmas tournament for the JV, and we've had several years where we've kicked multiple people.
Oh, yeah.
And if an official goes and tells the administrator, they're going to back them. They're going to say, okay, and they're going to tell that person they have to leave.
Right.
And I know at Herky, if an official would come to us and say, I had to go talk to one of our fans not too long ago, an official, I think might have been the first game of the year, and I had to go talk to a fan during our JV game and ask them, to politely sit down, blah, blah, blah. And I think officials will get backed by most administration in those instances.
Well, and Coach Rhodes brings up a point, and I think this is something that maybe we get back to is where coaches have to go to these officiating clinics and learn alongside officials, because I think that it goes the same hand in hand. If we're going to learn the game with them, they're in return going to understand when we have a question about something. Hey,
I
remember
understand that, but you're talking about people who work full-time jobs who you're trying to
90% of those guys work. That's
one of the
their
things we did last year,
part-time
we
jobs.
slowly used to do
That's what I'm saying.
a panel.
Because they're working a full-time job. It's
Right.
going to be hard to have time for all of us to meet and do what you're saying.
Well, they've done
but-
it. They did it for many years.
Sloa used to do with that. Sloa used to have a panel with coaches and with veteran officials.
Correct.
And it was fantastic. So 2 years ago, on the onset of COVID, I actually moderated. We had 3 coaches. We had, Bobby McCormick, Dustin, and then we also had 3, great officials: Daryl Pope, Craig Philippi, and I forget who our third official. Oh, Mike Hebert. 3 great officials that have all worked state championships.
Don't know, so.
But we did a roundtable on, okay, what do the coaches expect out of the officials? What do the officials expect? And it went really, really well. I would love to see us get back to that, but once again, I see where Jason's saying, sometimes it's tough because you got
roundtable
everybody.
or something like he was saying, working together, going to clinics and doing. You're not. I mean,
It would be great to get everybody
kind
one
of
Well,
day.
they have a clinic, so they had a Saturday clinic. They had them, periodically over the summer, and you went to a clinic. Officials and coaches got together, and it was an on-site clinic where you were hands-on. They were walking you through. They pulled up on a video this call, and this is why they called it. This is what they saw. Was it right? The right call or the wrong call? And then you had to make a judgment of it. What would you call here? And then they went back and said, yes, this is the right call, or no, that's the wrong call. Here's why. Here's what I seen. Here's what you seen. Now we learn that's their side of it compared to what our side was of it. And I think it just helps us all understand that. And I'm a firm believer that they're there for the right reasons. They're there to help. One, they love the game. Two,
without a doubt.
they love to be around kids and to give back to their community. So I think if we all have that same common bond together, you're not going to see as many. Yeah, are we going to get frustrated? Are we going to have bad days? Yes. Are officials going to have bad days? Hey, I had a terrible day at work today. I am not going to deal with anything. I'd rather an official come to me at the very beginning of the day and say, hey, it's a bad day for me. I'm going to tell you right now.
I don't know. I think that put me in a bad mindset.
Oh, boy. And once again, there's the old Miller coming out.
But I mean,
set me up.
But I'm just saying, I think
Get his Hulk hands. I'm surprised Kevin hasn't put the music back on yet to try and take us to a break.
Power through it. We're an hour 20 in.
But I think that the biggest problem is, and I think there is, that lack of communication has kind of gone by the wayside. Mm-hmm. And I feel like when you can't communicate together to get it right, I think that's what causes frustration on our end and frustration on their end.
I agree with you 100%.
You may not be able to communicate it like I can communicate it or he can communicate it, but it may be completely different, and we may see things different, but we can't communicate it the same.
Sure.
So I think that's the biggest problem is communication and how you communicate it.
Absolutely.
Across the board.
I mean,
across the board.
That is my biggest pet peeve is when you won't give me the audience to listen. I don't care. I'm never going to be overly belligerent with any official to the point I want to have a conversation until they don't have a conversation.
Yes.
And that's the first thing.
That's part of the job, right? And so this to me
diffuse it.
But this to me goes back to, once again, all of these peoples, all of the fans, the administration, the officials, anybody that walks into the gym, you are only seeing a 90-minute to 2-hour snippet of what goes on in our lives dealing with this program. You do not see the hours that we are away from our family, the missed vacations, the missed birthdays, the missed this, the missed
late
that,
practices.
the late practices.
Wait for it.
Listen. The time spent with the kids, trying to build relationships. All of the hours.
Nobody wants me to talk.
The hours that we spend with these kids and for this program.
You get paid to do that, though.
But listen to me. But
lot
my
of money.
point
I
is,
just did that just to piss.
But my point is, you only see the snippet. So how can you not, as an official, as a fan, as an administrator, as whoever, not expect us that are leading this program to be passionate? And here's my only gripe, and you've brought it up. I don't like it, and it has gotten better. But early on in coaching, the smugness of officials to say, I'm not going to give you the time of day, and I don't, the stop sign. No.
I hate the stop
This is
sign.
part of my livelihood. This helps put food on my table.
Yeah.
Okay? This is 10 to 15% of my paycheck. How about you take 10 to 15 of your paycheck, and I go, no, I don't want to hear it. You're going to probably be a little bit upset too. So I think it's a respect factor. You could tell me I'm right, I'm wrong to my face, but you got to at least hear me out as a coach. That's what he said. I think that's all that we want, and we want you to do a good job. Just like in anything. You're coming from your job, maybe you're a doctor, maybe you're a lawyer, maybe you're this, you're that. You need to do good at your job too. Just like for me, I want to be a good coach. Hey, you're going to do this job as an official? Do a good job as an official. There's a lot that's so tied into this, and it has gotten way better. But for you to be smug and to say what that guy said to you, that has no place at all whatsoever, because that guy has no clue the amount of time that you put in to what's going on, to what's on the floor.
Well, and we've all said it, and we all think it every time we do the evaluations. It's like, why am I doing this?
Hey, why?
Why? Look, because if you pop me twice in the game, I get to sit. There is no universal. You collect technicals, Zach.
Okay.
That's not a rule. We have to sit. But
It should be.
This guy. I just want to coach. So I really think that again, diffuse it, have a conversation with me, and
when you're out there and you're officiating, understand everything that you just said, because this is my livelihood. I don't want to see your stop sign. I never want to see the stop sign. I want you to talk to me. If I'm out of my freaking mind, you can just tell me at that point after we have a conversation, Coach, that's it.
Yep.
And you don't have to be a jerk about it, but you got to understand, I might have 3 board members that are trying to get me fired because I'm not winning.
Exactly. And you
don't understand that, because you get to go home and you can suck at your job. And I'm not saying we have officials who suck. I'm saying you can suck as an official. You can go home. You're not losing your job as an official. You can show up at the next game and you can suck again. I can give you a 4. I can give you a 5, and you can give him a 4, and you can give him a 5, and you can, and you can, and you can. And you can continue doing this. You might even somehow get a state playoff game. I'm losing my job. Okay? There's the difference in what... I just want the conversation. I want to understand what you're saying, what you're seeing, why you called it, and I just want to express what I saw. And if I'm seeing something, just talk to me. And we can agree to disagree. And I've had that conversation. I say, listen, look, I know you saw it the way you saw it. This is what I saw, and I get it. I understand. And when I go to practice, and Coach can tell you, I tell my kids, I don't care if you think you were fouled, if you were fouled, if there was contact. You have to play, because whatever that guy saw is what the reality is.
It's blue chips. A foul is not a foul unless the referee blows the whistle.
Right. So don't worry about it.
I don't know how many times I've had that discussion with kids.
And it's like you're not entitled to it, okay? And they're not going to give it to you because you occupy space, time, and breathe air. They don't give a rat's ass about it.
Right.
But my problem is when it's not consistent.
You said the 3-letter word.
All right. Well, okay. You said your ass. Should he be standing up and talking to me? You're not even the head coach. So I have a problem. That's my biggest problem. I think we have great officials. So many of them want to. They have that conversation. They do talk to me. I appreciate that so much.
Yeah.
But like Zach said, don't be smug. Don't stop sign me. Don't act like you're too good to talk to me, because you don't know what I have going on because of what I'm putting into my kids or what I have coming on. Like, you want to talk about pressure? Your hour and a half of pressure with fans yelling at you, and you get to go home and everything's cool. Nobody's putting on social media to fire you as the coach. They're not going and having little meetings behind their back.
Sending letters.
They're not going, man, this is official. We need to call Dr. Erhan and get this guy out of here. We need to start writing anonymous letters to Dr. Erhan to get this guy out so he official. That crap ain't happening. No. That's the reality. And you can suck and turn around and go and referee at the next place the next night, and that is what I have a problem with. So accept that you missed the call if you did, and if not, look, just talk to me, and just explain to me, because then if I see that you're terrible, at least help me understand that this is what they're saying. I go with my kids, I'm like, okay, they're not going to call it. Please don't do it.
Yeah, stop.
Okay, I'll use our Metro game as an example. At halftime, I said, you're not adjusting to the officiating. Put the ball on the floor before you move any feet. I don't care if your non-pivot foot. Dribble, move your pivot foot then.
Yeah.
The non-pivot foot, because it looks like you're walking, so they're going to call it. You're not adjusting to the game.
Right.
Yeah. And that's why it's hard for you to tell a kid that, because at the end of the day, when you're trying to talk to kids about the way they're playing, I mean, when you say, hey, that official's not, he's not calling it that way.
Yeah.
So you got to play it. You got to play it this way. But you practice for 2 weeks, telling those kids, this is what I want you to do, and they go out and do it, and then it doesn't get called. Now we look like we don't know what we're talking about. Like, you just told me to do the wrong friggin' thing. And so I think it comes to a point where, like you said, the credibility, maybe with our job, with our kids, and how much time and energy and effort we put into this.
Oh, yeah.
Not only out of 4 months out of the year, but 12 months out of the year.
It's birthdays, it's anniversaries, it's
without a
family
doubt.
trips, it's vacations, it's all of this.
No
that
one wants to hear
give-
that, though. I'm just telling you. I mean, we could say that all we want, and they don't care. They don't care
And
that
that's part of the problem.
They don't care
That's part
that
of the
I'm
problem.
missing time with my
And
kids.
neither does-
They
that's
don't-
part of the problem.
They don't care that.
And I don't say that too much.
I've missed almost all of Jill's games this year because I'm coaching the boys. People don't care.
And
Well,
that's
you know what
the
the
problem,
All
Jason.
they care about is what you are doing for them or their kid.
And that's the problem.
Or they're looking at you and saying, you chose to be a coach. That's your decision. You chose it.
Ding, ding, ding.
I love coaching.
Winner.
I love coaching.
Hey, they choose to be a coach too when they're sitting up in the peanut gallery
Yeah.
telling you how you can't do your job, or they call you up on the phone and tell you how terrible
there's
you are
no-
too.
No,
And I
they
don't
don't even do that anymore.
But they're-
they
that's
don't
family.
want to
Sorry,
talk
that's
to you.
family.
They
It
go
goes
behind
all
your
social
back.
media now.
That's family I'm talking about. To call you up and tell you. By the way, I was so glad that my old man lost his bet.
Did he lose his bet? Or
Damn right he did. He said, "Well, you know what he said? I should have took the points on your next game and I'd have won."
Well,
what I
never
get-
played like you did against them, against us. But anyway, no.
But what I talk about with your situation is, here's what I say. Leave my family out of it.
Yes.
Leave
Hey.
my family out of
Ain't
it.
happening.
When you bring my family involved in this, I have a big
Dude,
problem.
I had it happen. I was plastered all over Facebook
Yep.
because of it.
Yep. And
they named my kid.
Yeah, that's even worse.
And so there's a point
Big
where
problem.
a coach just goes, wait, whoa. And then they wonder why teachers are leaving. They're wondering why administrators are leaving. They're wondering why people don't want to be getting to education.
Maybe they should just homeschool their kids.
People have zero idea what goes on behind the scenes.
Right.
They have
Dude, you
zero
ask something
idea.
out of
zero
niceness of your heart, and then you ask somebody how their day is or something, and you may get a text or an email about it the next day. Well, why are you asking my
No
kid
good-
about
no
this?
good
Or why
day.
are you doing that?
No good deed, right?
Nope.
I mean,
Right.
it's like it gets to a point of where you're just, and this has nothing to do with officials. I got me fired up now, but I mean, it's like
That quesadilla gave you a little more life.
no. My blood sugar was 72 when I got here, so I needed something.
That's my bedtime. I gotta go. Shots are coming.
But you know what I'm saying? I mean, I'm saying it's it's not a worldwide maybe, but it is an America problem.
It is. It is.
That's a different show.
And I think this is a good place for us
America.
to call it a show. What do you think, Coach McVey? I mean, we're going here
Yeah,
on
it's
an
past my bedtime.
hour and 31
Hey,
minutes.
I want
here.
to thank Jim for hanging out with us tonight. This has been
yeah,
fun.
Hope you enjoyed it. Hope you enjoyed it.
Yeah, this has been a blast, and once again, it's great that I get to see you guys a little bit more than normal.
That's true.
This winter. But no, I mean, it's always great to come down, hang out, and talk a little bit about officiating. Once again, if anybody's interested,
Whoa.
you can reach out to me.
Yes.
I'll get you hooked up with the right people that you need to get hooked up with and everything. One quick thing, and I'm gonna, self-promote a little bit. You're gonna start to see a lot of new high school coverage that I'm going to be putting together. Dan McLaughlin and myself have entered into an agreement with his website, Scoops with Danny Mac.
Oh, awesome.
He wants to do a lot of high school coverage. So he asked me if I would spearhead a lot of that. And one of the big things that we're going to be doing is it's going to be all sports, all areas. So Jeffco, St. Louis Metro, St. Charles, Franklin County. And I'm really, really excited about it. So, starting next week, you'll be able to follow a lot of stuff that I'm going to be doing, on Scoops, scoopswithdannymac.com. So I'm really
That's
excited
sweet.
about that.
Good stuff. That's awesome.
And then obviously on Fox 2 on Friday night, because I had to do it from Tilton's office this past Friday on Skype. Because the game asked me. I turned to him at 10 o'clock. I go, this game needs to end like now. I got to be on TV in 8 minutes.
on TV, so let's don't call it timeout. Hey, I talked to Danny Mac once. Yeah, I lost to Randy Carricker. I lost to Randy Carricker.
Oh.
It was bad.
That's bad.
Yeah,
It's a bad loss.
it's a bad loss.
Bad loss.
And it's kind of like my Friday.
Yeah, you're talking about.
Finally it comes out. Finally it comes out.
I had to get one shot in.
So my question is, before we go, Are you guys? Is there a possibility you guys can meet next
If
week?
we went to the championship, both of us.
Here we go.
Okay. Here
Hopefully
we go.
don't meet the same game we met last year.
That would stink.
Wingate Part 2, ladies and gentlemen.
Hey, whatever happens if we play again, we're doing wings.
I mean, that would mean first I have to beat Northwest, which I don't know. They're going to have a lot of revenge power coming
Well, after
in.
you beat them in overtime the other night.
Hey, wait, and then Grandview beats them.
I'm not going to even talk about it. But and then I would have to beat the number 1 seed. So and first I got to beat Moss and Northwest, which is coming off of 2 tough games, and they're going to be fired up on Monday, I'm sure.
Yeah, and we can play Grandview and they just beat Northwest. Great draw. Should be a fun tournament.
It'll be a lot of fun.
Let's try to win the consolation side.
Hold on. It would have been either them or the Patriots, right? And you just barely beat the Patriots.
I know, right?
So either way, it would have been either way.
I think we're overseeded. Wait, what, Kevin?
Put that in.
Ending the show or
When we call it,
And you ladies and gentlemen,
see it.
he has been officially gone real.
Hey,
How many times you played the music tonight?
thanks to our sponsors, La Pachanga, Herculaneum, and Home by SMCI, Orange Strodinger out there. So we appreciate all those sponsorships. And so long.
We don't know when we're going to have the show next week or if we're going to have it, but we will let you know.
Yes. So long here for Herculaneum La Pachanga.
Deuce.